Hey friends, Peggy Hall back with you from thehealthyamerican.org. I'm live streaming just a little earlier than I normally do, but I've got this news that I want to bring to you. It is a follow-up from my video yesterday. There was an additional video that I wanted to share with you about candidate Kennedy's stance. I'm just going to call it on mandated medicine or mandatory medicine. And I had so many very interesting comments from you, my lovely healthy Americans. Give me a thumbs up. Hopefully this microphone is working better. I'm still working out the kinks on my audio recording info. So hopefully you can hear me fine. This is important information, and I want to thank all of you for your very thoughtful comments. And I'm going to read a couple of those comments from my video yesterday. It looks like YouTube hid the chat, the live chat, when I was live streaming yesterday. Hopefully I can find that again. And I want to just share your comments, and then I want to share Kennedy's comments, and just to bring light to the situation. So for the last 3 years, I've been here at the Healthy American, shining the light of truth to help you use tools against tyranny. I've been helping you with your medical situations, with your religious rights, with your medical rights, and that has been my hill to fight on, and I'm marching this all the way to heaven. I am not here to tell you what to think. I am not here to force my opinions on you or my perspective. I am here to share facts and evidence so that you can draw your own conclusions. What I really can't stand is when somebody else tells me what to think or how to think. So let's just put that on the table right now. I'm not telling you how to think or what to think, but I would say that I am encouraging you to think, and to think deeply, and to be a critical thinker, and to dig deeper, and to not be blinded by excitement and hoopla and all of that, but to actually look at the facts as I'm going to present them to you. That's all I ask. And I know, as my sophisticated, lovely, healthy Americans, that you are able to be open-minded and to receive information and evidence and facts and that comport with reality, and then draw your own conclusions based on that. All right, I'm not here, I don't have a beef with anybody. I'm actually a little bit, well, I don't want to say the word shocked, because I'm not shocked, but I'm a little astonished that many people have not heard what I'm about to share with you. And I'm going to do that as soon as I share a message with you from the sponsor of this video. I'm grateful to my sponsors. This is how I'm able to bring you this information day in, day out, basically all day, every day. It seems like it. And this is for you. So here we go. We are hopping on over to noblegoldinvestments.com. And the US dollar, as you probably know, has lost about 85% of its value since the 1970s. And that's when the dollar decoupled from gold. It went off the gold standard. And the government seems bent on continuing the tradition from now until after the next elections. The government basically is going to be printing as much money as it wants. And the last time they did that, inflation went up about 9%. But gold is one asset that has proven to withstand inflation. You can go here to noblegoldinvestments.com and put in your email address if you would like to get more information right from my friends over at noblegoldinvestments.com. You can invest in gold with them. You will also get a 24 karat, 1/4 ounce gold standard coin for free if you qualify. So it's noblegoldinvestments.com. I will also have a link for you below. This is the only gold company I trust. And I want to let you know that there's always a risk of investment and there's no guarantee of any kind. Get your questions answered over at noblegoldinvestments.com. Friends, as the months go by and the public elections are becoming on many people's minds, I know we've had a lot of debates about voting and about corruption and whether your vote counts. And I'm on the record to say that I am not letting anyone steal my vote. And I will go to the polling places whether or not my vote counts. I am going to take action because that's the only thing I have control over, in addition to my thoughts and my feelings and my actions. I can choose those. So I am going to do that. I'm not going to let anyone take away my vote. So many of you have asked me what I think about candidate Kennedy, and I am answering your questions. I also will put it on the record that I would love to have these questions posed to him personally. I haven't had that chance. So again, I am all about the free exchange of ideas and opinions and positions, and the only thing I have to go on right now is what candidate Kennedy has actually said in his own words. And then I also want to close out this presentation with a brief email by a lovely Healthy American. And this Healthy American I actually interviewed about what happened to her and her son, who was damaged by this medicine, as Kennedy calls it, and how, well, I will just leave her words for, I will read to you her words, and then you can see exactly what she says. I interviewed her, but the truth is too hot for this platform to handle, and that is going to be airing on my private channel, which is peggyhall.tv. It's not on there yet. I will let you know when it is. It will be in a two-part interview because we spoke for a couple of hours about exactly what she went through, her fight against these, the poison needle in California, and what happened to her son and what she is doing today. So she has been a staunch advocate for freedom of medical choice. And I think you would probably agree that that is a good thing to be in favor of. All right, I did a video yesterday asking you, are you in favor of safer cocktails, or are you in favor of medical freedom? Why is all the attention on making the cocktails safer? First of all, and many of you said as I rounded out my presentation, that you can't make poison safer, all right? And I take issue with candidate Kennedy making statements where he is using the word, I'm using the word cocktail, he's using that on the same, to put it on par with medicine. And I find that troubling because medicine is intended to help people heal, and it's very clear that this kind of medicine has been doing the exact opposite. So I would say that either that is, I don't know if that's just a statement, a throwaway statement, he didn't think about it clearly. Maybe he will recant that statement once it's pointed out to him. It would be horrible to think that he is trying to associate in our minds the idea that these cocktails are basically medicine. And as medicine, they need to go through safety tests. I did an entire video yesterday with all of the questions and all of my concerns about these safety tests for childhood cocktails. Who exactly are going to be the guinea pigs? And when you've got agencies like Granny Gates Foundation doing the safety testing on these cocktails, is that somebody that you're going to trust? And so I did a lengthy video with all of those questions. I will leave a link for you below. What I want to do right now is take you on over to an interview, and it is another little snippet of the interview that I shared with you yesterday. I didn't play the entire interview, but when I listened to it again, I was absolutely astonished to hear what he said. And again, maybe he misspoke. Maybe he didn't mean what he said, or maybe he meant exactly what he said. And he used a tactic of bookending, meaning talking and presenting information that many people would agree with, and then slipping in some kind of controversial information, but then quickly going to some other information that people all agree with. I'm not saying this is intentional, but it is a strategy and technique for people who want to get their ideas across and not have them be criticized, because it's like a little sandwich where you have the truth on the outside, maybe that's not even the right way to say it, but you have palatable information on the outside, and you have the stuff on the inside that people don't really want to hear, but it gets all kind of glossed over. But I would like to know if candidate Kennedy stands by exactly these words that he stated just a couple of years ago at the University of Colorado Boulder. I will leave a link for you below. This was a debate that he had with Alex Epstein, who has spoken at length about the benefits of natural, I just am going to call it natural oil, because I don't believe in using the phrase fossil fuel. It doesn't come from fossil. So I need to talk to Alex about that, because I think that's pushing a narrative that is erroneous, just like pushing these other narratives of contagious disease and so forth. So let me do this. We're going to hop right on over. It's just a couple of minutes here. I will unplug my audio so that you can hear it. And then I will also just summarize it for you. I did do a little transcript of it that I will read to you as well. But let's do this. I'm going to share my screen. We'll hop right on over. And I will leave the link for you below. All right, here we go.
Wait or go? Okay.
On the subject of vaccine, it seems to be a great interest of yours. I challenge you to debate me on it. And I'm going to tell you just what my position is. And my position is not anti-science. My position is exactly aligned with the National Academy of Science and the Institute of Medicine. People don't know my position because people call me an anti-vaxxer, but I'm not. I'm pro-vaccine. I had all my children vaccinated. I believe the vaccine should be tested, safety tested. People don't know. You cannot sue a company that makes vaccines that injures you, no matter how egregious the injury is, no matter how negligent that company was, no matter how toxic the ingredient. Furthermore, they're completely insulated, so there's no incentive for them to make vaccines safe. Furthermore, they're also exempt. They're the only medicine that's exempt from safety testing. So now one of the 72 vaccines currently given to our children, mandated, has ever been tested against a placebo. That means nobody knows what the risk profile is, and nobody can say with a scientific certainty that that vaccine is averting more problems than it causes. And I don't think that we ought to be mandating medical interventions for unwilling Americans unless we know precisely that that vaccine is going to end up helping people rather than hurting them.
Okay, I think you caught that. All right. There were a couple of things there. Number one, he is pro for himself. He himself has become a pincushion. He had all of his children become pincushions. But here's, did you catch that last thing? I'm going to read it to you from my transcript here. He said, and I quote, let me grab it for you. Let me know if you caught that. He said, we shouldn't be mandating the cocktails unless, he said, we shouldn't be mandating the cocktails on unwilling Americans unless, did you hear that? Unless we can prove that they help instead of harm. All right, let's go back and listen to exactly what he said. That was the gist of what he said. And again, it was bookended by other things that people probably agree with, that yes, these companies are immune from being sued, although you can sue them in certain courts. So that's true. And it also is true that they're doing it for money. All of those things are true. But then you slip in that we shouldn't be mandating this medicine. That also troubles me. It's not medicine. And he says that this is the only medicine that doesn't have to go through the safety trials. So equating the cocktails with medicine is very troubling to me. All right. And in just a moment, I'm going to read to you my Healthy Americans response and why his stance is so appalling to her. And then you can draw your own conclusion. But let's listen to that once more. We shouldn't be mandating the cocktails unless. Let me go back to that. I'm going to share my screen.
Is averting more problems than it causes. And I don't think that we ought to be mandating medical interventions for unwilling Americans unless we know precisely that that vaccine is going to end up helping people rather than hurting them.
That's what I heard. He said medical interventions for unwilling Americans. All right, I don't care for that phrase either. If you were fired from your job, if you were harassed at your doctor's office or the ER, if you were denied service because you declined their offer of becoming a human pincushion or suffocating yourself or having your body assaulted, that's not being unwilling. All right, I reject that moniker. I reject that adjective that he's using. Now, again, he could be thinking, just off the cuff. I understand that. I'm doing these videos live. Sometimes I say things and it's like, oh, I didn't mean it that way. So I understand. I would like to replay that snippet and ask, do you stand by that statement? Are you referring to those of us that are choosing in accordance with our God-given conscience, our own medical decisions? Do you still believe that we are unwilling Americans? Furthermore, do you believe that mandating medicine and medical interventions should not happen unless those can be proven to help instead of harm? I want to know. I'm asking that question. All I can go on, and the conclusion that I personally am drawing, is that this is not a person that I'm going to trust with any type of emergency related to contagious diseases or public health. In fact, he wants to expand that. He wants more regulations, a bigger FDA, a bigger CDC, and others, more testing, more government oversight. That's not the direction that I personally am in favor of. All right. So that's the conclusion that I'm drawing. Just as an aside, some of you asked me about his own personal life. I don't like to get into people's personal lives. We all make mistakes. That happens. We learn from them. But as a person, when you look at his own family and divorces and affairs, if you're not going to be honest with your spouse, how can you be honest with the American people? So I'm answering the question that people pose to me. Again, I don't have a beef with the person. I've never met him. These are concerns that I have if we're looking at who is going to be elected or selected or allowed to be president in this country. Now, I want to finish off, as I promised, reading to you a snippet of an email from a lovely, healthy American who posts over at a site, and I will leave that for you as well, called The Age of Autism. She says, I become infuriated when I hear people spout off that they are fiercely pro-jab. That is analogous to telling the mother of a child who was injured or killed by a drunk driver that you are fiercely pro-drunk driving. That's so powerful. Millions of parents worldwide are giving firsthand testimony that our children were permanently harmed and in many cases killed by, you know what? And then someone has the audacity to continue to state over and over again that they are fiercely pro-cocktail right in front of us without at least pairing it with, I am fiercely anti-mandate. To state this pro-cocktail mantra in today's world filled with injured and damaged children is horribly insensitive, and I find it intolerable. That's what the Healthy American Laura wrote. She has so many great articles over at The Age of Autism. I will leave a link for you below. I will leave a link to this interview. It is just a snippet of the one that I showed yesterday. And apparently this is important to everyone. So I'm going to be bringing a third interview that I found troubling, that I also found rather scripted on the side of the person doing the interviewing. And of course, a lot of these interviews are scripted. The questions are given in advance so that the person being interviewed is not stumbling and stalling. So that's nothing surprising. But I just felt that it was a little insincere and a little bit staged on the part of the interviewer. And again, we're going to hear candidate Kennedy's stance of being fiercely pro-cocktail. That is troubling to me as a person who believes in freedom, not just medical freedom, not just health freedom, but freedom. And I've mentioned before his ongoing mantra of saving democracy. That is very troubling to me. And I will continue to talk about that if he continues to stake his claim on that as well. We live in a constitutional republic. There are constitutional backstops that are being violated all over the place, but I certainly don't want to run the ball forward any faster, further, farther by calling it a democracy where that is simply the will of the people. One simple example is that we have an electoral college that elects the president. If it was a true democracy, it would be one person, one vote going exactly for that presidential candidate. That's not how our country that's not the political system of our country. So I can talk more about that later. I did want to let you know that I loved your comments, and let's see if I have a few of them here as well. Always great to hear from you. Okay, California Karen says, I don't want any cocktails ever. I've never had any in many years. I'm not starting. Great job, Peggy. Anything should be a choice. Chris Taylor says, my immune system has been through more than enough. And Wanda says, there aren't any safe cocktails. That's like, trying to make poison safer. Joseph does not care for granny gates, just like me. And we certainly don't want that pair running these safety trials. Okay. Baker's in favor of medical freedom. Rocket Scientist says, you are sly as a fox, Peggy. As usual, you've unveiled more than any of us realized. And here we thought candidate Kennedy was the good guy. Well, we should all know anyway that anyone running for president has already been corrupted in some way. These are your comments that I'm reading. Plus, he seems to be fully behind the climate agenda. Yes, we'll be talking about that in upcoming videos. I'm all in favor of a clean, non-spinning world. Absolutely. I do not want pollution in the air, in the water, in the oceans, but there are smart, I don't want to use the word smart, there are effective ways of doing it. And then there are ways that enslave people and set us back hundreds of years. Ando says, you are speaking the part that no one else is. Safer cocktails sounds like it will open the door to medical tyranny. All right, I'm going to end on that note. Thank you, everybody, for your comments, for your support. I love bringing you these presentations Monday through Friday. I am a little bit earlier today because of the time conflict. You can always see them when you go to my channel. Make sure that you click on live as well as videos in order to get all of my most recent content. In fact, let me just end off by showing that to you here. And I want to thank my moderators for being on board. This is my channel. Make sure that you click on live. I do most of my videos live, and that's where you will find a lot of my hard-hitting reporting. And then, of course, videos is where I have some pre-uploaded videos. Home, I wouldn't click on that. Those are just the videos that YouTube wants to show you. And you know that I am heavily, heavily shadow banned. So when you like and subscribe and comment and share, that is how we can outsmart that algorithm. So grateful for all of you. I look forward to being with you tomorrow. I've got one more video that I want to share with you. Can't wait to read your comments and to share your comments as well. That's what I love about my Healthy American audience. You're sophisticated. You are able to have these conversations, share your perspective in a cordial way, and that way we can keep the conversation going. All right, friends, see you soon. Have a great rest of the afternoon.